Chapter 7. Margaret and Irene sat in silence for 32 minutes, each gathering their thoughts together, each afraid to say the first word, knowing that the first word could lead anywhere, including the truth. Irene signaled for a latte with one hand and fingered her long blonde hair, with the other twisting it again and again until it spiraled like a golden staircase leading to the top of her head. When the pain started, she wept, expostulating, "I don't know what I'll do without Henry. He was the center of the world." "Even the center of the world has to die sometime." Margaret sat sideways in her chair, her breasts a pair of protruding Alps. "He didn't seem like the kind of man who died," Irene said. "Sometimes when we're in bed making love at the very edge of the surf where the waves washed over us again and again, I looked at his face and saw something there that not even all the forces of erosion could ever wash away. He was a determined man, and in his position he had to be. And I knew that too, looking up at him, wanting only for him to be there forever. He was old, you know. He was around in the 70s and everything. But there was an agelessness to him, a beautiful eternal foreverness that shone from him like the light from a lighthouse, or like the sunlight from the sun. He made me feel like a child again, and I wanted to stay in bed with him, feeling him warm my world, cooled by the waves that washed over us until the stars went out. That's what I expected anyway. That's what he promised. And now he's dead. His heart stopped.
It has ceased to be. It's expired and gone to meet its maker.
Margaret's eyes darted toward Irene in expressive regard. Yes. What am I supposed to do without him? The unanswerable stolidity of the question echoed in the space between them, and there was nothing Margaret could say that could make the other woman feel any better. As a nurse who had been taking care of people about to die, and who had died for longer than most people could guess, she had spoken to her share of people mourning the death of their loved ones. She had earned a nationwide reputation for her bedside management, as she always knew what to say to make people take the deaths of those they cared for most for just another part of life that needed to be endured, and which would be one day feel better. Doctors always asked Margaret for help when their patients died, but some deaths were not like other deaths. Some deaths were too much to be borne. Some deaths hit those who were left behind like a bomb exploding in their houses, leaving just rubble behind. Margaret did not know what to say to this spectacularly beautiful woman before her to make her feel better that the man she loved more than she loved life itself had been so cruelly taken from her. A tear formed at the corner of her own eye. The left, as she shook her head and said, "I don't know. Sometimes we lose the whole reason we're alive. Sometimes we have to go out somehow and find a new reason. A reason not dictated by law or morality or even sense. Some new person to love. Some new way to live. Some new purpose to make the night seems warmer." I think Henry was probably the kind of man who knew that if he ever died in a horrible car accident, leaving you behind, that you would find the courage to stand up and move on and climb out of this place where you are. He would not want you to be here now or ever. He would want you at the beach, where you were at your best, in the waves, in bed. Maybe. Irene swigged her steaming latte in one scalding gulp. And maybe. Maybe what? I remember one night, the best night for us. He took me to Rome, where we stood in the light of the Eiffel Tower and watched the people go by. There was one couple there who reminded us of us. There was another man Henry's age and another woman my age, and they were laughing together, just laughing. Hard, you know the way people laugh when they really feel the joy of life, the two of them. Laughing, laughing. Laughing till the tears came down the sides of their faces in great cascades. And I was a little worried that they would not be able to breathe, but Henry said, "Look at them, Irene, just look at them. Look at her and look at him, look at them. The very themes of them. You know, it's not a she and a him, but a them, two of them together, in one unit, laughing and laughing here in the city of brotherly love." Their laughs echoing and echoing and echoing up and up and up, drowning out the traffic and the conversations of other tourists, and the singing of the Christmas cajoler, and even the motor noises filling the world. It was a lot of laughing. And me remember Harry. squeezing my hand till the bones hurt, and saying, I laughed like that once, many years ago when I was a boy, and I don't even remember the joke anymore, but I always wanted to laugh that way again, and sometimes when I take a good look at you, I think I have a chance. And I never thought of it again, but he also said that night, honey, I'm much older than you, and that means I'll be dead before you. And it'll be worth dying, even in a terrible car wreck. If that means that between now and the moment of that car wreck, we laugh at least once as hard as that couple walking by just now. Though they were long past us by the time he got around to saying that. He said, make me laugh like that again, Irene. And I said, surely, but there was always the older man, younger woman thing, and as much as I thought of him as some kind of god, me never once got around to making him laughs. Twisting her hair into a braid using the same finger she had been using before, she said, and now I will have to live my entire life. However long that turns out to be, knowing that I never gave him what he wanted. I made him come, but never made him guffaw. The sun broke through the clouds then, its brilliant golden disk burning a hole through the great puffs of water vapor to send a shaft of golden light zigzagging down through the layers of atmosphere and warm the earth in a way that no sunlight since the beginning of time had ever warmed the earth before. Somewhere a child was being born. Somewhere a dog was barking.
Le 3 septembre 1973, à 18h28 et 32 secondes, une mouche bleue de la famille des Califoridés, capable de produire 14 670 battements d'ailes à la minute, se posait rue Saint-Vincent, à Montmartre.
Life was going on, but in this one moment at this particular place in time and space, the two beautiful women, one twisting her hand into knots, the other sitting sideways, were not part of it. They were here only for each other, and for the memory of a great man who had walked the earth like a rock in the sand. Life is like that sometimes, thought Margaret helplessly. Sometimes it is just an interruption in the day, and not a part of it. The trick is knowing when it's day and when it's night, and the lightness or darkness has nothing to do with telling the difference between them.
What the fuck are you talking about?
The death of a man like Henry Archer was definitely night, even if it took place at noon. It was like an eclipse of the world. There must have been people, even in distant primitive villages, who had felt the moment he breathed his last.
I felt a great disturbance in the force.
They must have looked up at the night sky, or even the day sky, and said, "What was that?" Meaning him. Irene lit a cigarette and blew out a huge cloud of smoke. "What am I gonna do without him?" she wailed. "What?" Margaret had no answer, except for the ones she had already given.
Georgia on my mind.
There is beauty and goodness in this world. There are my Patreon supporters. There is Break System BSE. There are puppies. There are cats. There's the Shire, Mr. Frodo. I'm not a motivational speaker, but on this I have arrived. It's good to be alive. Life is very sweet, brother. Who would wish to die?